All right, I'm going to use the Theraband and our axes to find the internal and external rotators of the pelvofemoral joint. So remember, internal and external rotation occurs along the transverse plane, and the transverse plane has this vertical axis. So plane and axis. Picture an axis going straight down through the shaft of the femur. So any muscle that crosses in front of that axis is going to turn the femur inward, and any muscle that crosses behind the axis, being right here behind, is going to be a lateral rotator. Going to turn the femur externally. Okay, so we're finishing the hip complex in lab with the muscles that internally and externally rotate the femur. So we have two. We have the gluteus minimus, which remember originated on the lateral ilium, anterior and inferior to the medius, and goes to the front aspect of the greater trochanter. So it's going to fall, if I can, in front of that vertical axis. Falls in front, so it's going to turn the femur inward, okay? The other hip rotator, the tensor fascia lata, which originates on the ASIS, and for now, let's put it on the lateral femur. It actually inserts into the iliotibial band, but again, the important thing is it falls behind that vertical axis, in front of, hold the bus, in front of the vertical axis. So again, it's going to, I can put my thumb here, picture it turning the femur internally or toward the midline in the transverse plane. Okay? So take what I just said about the internal rotators. Any muscle that falls posterior, so posterior ilium, sacrum, again over to the posterior femur. It's going to fall behind that vertical axis, the vertical axis being right here. So behind that is going to turn the femur laterally or outward. And we have 7 muscles that externally rotate the hip. So it's easy to see what they do, hard to remember their names. So from superficial to deep, we have the gluteus maximus. Remember the big old gluteus maximus was our prime mover for hip hyperextension last week. Underneath the maximus are the 6 deep lateral rotators. And for our purposes, all you need to tell me is the combined line of pull of the 6 deep lateral rotators. I'm showing you right now with the Theraband, okay? Hardest thing to remember is their names. Gemellus superior and inferior. Quadratus femoris. Piriformis. Obturator, because they originate in and around the obturator foramen, internus and externus. You don't have to remember the individual nerves for the 6 deep lateral rotators, only the names. Piriformis, quadratus femoris, gemellus superior and inferior, obturator, internus, and externus. Their combined line of pull is from sacrum and ilium posterior over to the greater trochanter. They are external rotators underneath the big gluteus maximus.